Patricia Moore stood at the front of her classroom and looked at the 28 fourth graders sitting at their desks. The morning sun came through the windows and made the classroom feel warm and safe. She had been teaching for 15 years, and every day she walked into this room with the same feeling of purpose. These kids needed her. They needed someone to teach them, to care for them, and to make sure they knew they mattered. It was Wednesday morning, September 15th. The date would be remembered by the entire world, but Patricia did not know that yet. She did not know that in just a few minutes, everything would change forever. Right now, she was just a teacher doing her job, checking homework assignments and preparing to teach a lesson about American history. Marcus Johnson sat in the third row. He was a small boy with big eyes and a quick laugh. He raised his hand almost every time Patricia asked a question. Lisa Chen was the quiet one, the girl who drew pictures instead of taking notes, but somehow always understood the lesson. Tommy Rodriguez was the troublemaker, always joking and trying to make the other kids laugh, but he had a good heart. Maria Santos was the brave one, the girl who was not afraid to speak her mind. And there were 24 others, each one different, each one special in their own way. Patricia walked between the desks and stopped at Marcus's seat. His homework was done correctly. She made a small mark on his paper. "Good work, Marcus," she said, and the boy smiled so wide that his whole face seemed to light up. That smile was why Patricia did this job. That moment right there. That connection between a teacher and a student that said, "You did good. You matter. I see you." The clock on the wall showed 8:47 in the morning. The school day had officially started, but the first lesson had not yet begun. Patricia moved back to the front of the classroom and opened the book she would be reading from today. It was a story about pioneers who went west across America. She loved this unit. It taught the kids about courage and hard work and how people could do amazing things. When they believed in themselves, she raised the book and was about to start reading when the lights in the classroom began to flicker. Once, twice, 3 times. Patricia looked up at the ceiling. She frowned. The old school building had problems sometimes, but usually the flicker lasted only a second or two. This was different. The lights kept going on and off like something was wrong with the power. "Is there going to be a blackout?" asked Sarah White from the back row. She was worried about blackouts. Her house had lost power during a storm once, and she did not like the dark. "No, I think it is just the building," Patricia said. She tried to sound calm even though she could feel something was not right. Her body knew something her mind had not yet figured out. The air in the room felt different. Thicker. Electric dot, the flickering stopped. The lights stayed on. Patricia was about to start the lesson again when Marcus pointed at the window. "Ms. Moore, what is that?" he asked. Patricia walked to the window. Every student turned to look. Outside, the sky was changing. The blue sky was disappearing. In its place came a color Patricia had never seen before, a purple-green like something was blocking out the sun. And in the middle of that colored sky, shapes were appearing. Large shapes. Too large to be airplanes. Patricia's hands went cold. Her heart started to beat very fast. She knew what she was seeing, but she did not want to believe it. She did not want to turn around and see the fear on the faces of her students. She did not want this moment to be real. The shapes grew bigger as they came down through the clouds. They were not airplanes or helicopters or anything that Patricia had ever seen. They looked like something from a science fiction movie, but worse, sleeker, more dangerous. The ships had sharp edges and windows that glowed with red light. They came down slowly, like they knew they had all the power and no one could stop them. The children began to scream. Some stood up from their desks. Others ran to Patricia. She felt small hands grabbing her clothes, pulling at her, asking her what was happening, asking her if they were going to die. The classroom turned from a safe place into a place of chaos and fear in just a few seconds. Patricia did not have time to think. She put her hands on the nearest children and tried to keep them calm. "Everyone, stay together," she said, but her voice sounded very small even to her own ears. She moved the children to the corner of the classroom, away from the windows. At least here they could not see the ships anymore. At least here they might feel a little bit safer. But safety was gone now. Patricia could feel it. The whole building shook as something landed hard on the ground outside. Alarms began to sound in the school. Red emergency lights turned on in the hallway. The intercom made a noise and then went dead. Whatever was happening, it was big. It was real. And it was happening right now. Patricia heard sounds in the hallway. Heavy sounds. Boots that were too large or something else. Something that was not human. The children hugged Patricia tighter. She put her arms around as many of them as she could reach. She was their teacher. They believed that she could protect them. But Patricia knew the truth. She was just a woman. She was not a soldier. She had no weapons. She had no power against whatever was coming to the school. The classroom door burst open. It did not open slowly or carefully. It broke open like it was made of nothing. 3 beings came through the doorway. They were enormous. Easily 8 feet tall, maybe taller. Their bodies were not soft like human bodies. They were hard and covered in what looked like armor. Their skin was a dark gray color, almost like metal. Their heads were wrong too. Instead of 2 eyes, they had many. The eyes glowed with a red light that seemed angry and cold. One of the beings raised something that looked like a weapon. Patricia knew what guns looked like, and this was not a gun, but it was definitely a weapon. The children screamed louder. Some tried to run, but there was nowhere to go. The beings filled the entire doorway. Then a sound came from the weapon. Not a bang or a pop like a gun. Something different. Something that made the air feel wrong. Patricia felt a pain in her head for just a second, and then it was gone. The children felt it too and stopped moving. They were frozen in fear. One of the beings spoke. Its voice did not come from its mouth. It came from a machine on its body. The words were in English, but the accent was strange. The words were hard and cold, like each one was a knife being thrown at them. "We are the Valorian Collective. This world now belongs to us. You will surrender or you will be eliminated. Children will be processed for assimilation." The words hung in the air like poison. Patricia felt her students pressed against her body, shaking. She was the adult. She was the teacher. She was supposed to know what to do. But she did not. She felt fear just like her students did. But she also felt something else. She felt a choice forming in her mind. She could give up. She could let these things do whatever they wanted. Or she could try to save her students, even if it meant facing something that she did not understand and could not defeat. Patricia took a deep breath. She looked at the 3 aliens standing in her classroom. She looked at her students' faces. And then she made a decision. She stepped away from the children and moved forward. She placed herself between them and the aliens. She was only 5 feet and 7 inches tall. The aliens were almost twice that height. But she stood there anyway. She spoke. Her voice was steady, and it surprised her. She was terrified, but she did not sound terrified. She sounded like a teacher, like someone who knew what she was doing. "I want to talk to your leader. Not you 3. Your leader. I'm not talking until every single one of my students is safe. You can do whatever you want to me, but these children will not be hurt." The 3 aliens moved closer. Patricia could feel the heat from their bodies. She could smell something like burned metal. They were only a few feet away now. Their weapons were pointed right at her. One wrong move and she would be dead. But she did not move. She did not flinch. She stood and looked right back at them, refusing to show the fear that was running through her body like electricity. For a moment, nobody moved. The aliens looked at her. The children looked at Patricia. Patricia looked at the aliens. And in that moment, something strange happened. Patricia Moore, a fourth-grade teacher from a small town, stood her ground against an alien invasion force. And in some way that she could not explain, that changed everything. The three Valorian soldiers did not move. Patricia could see their multiple eyes focusing on her face. She could see the weapons in their hands, weapons that could burn through walls and kill in seconds. She was standing between them and her students, and she knew that she was completely helpless. One movement from them and her defiance would mean nothing. She would be dead, and her students would be taken anyway. But something was happening. Something that Patricia did not expect. The aliens were not attacking. They were not moving at all. They were looking at her like she was strange. Like she was something they did not understand. Patricia kept her hands open and visible. She had read somewhere that this meant you were not a threat. She did not know if aliens would understand human body language, but it was all she had. "You will surrender now," the middle alien said again. Its voice came through the machine on its chest. The words were in English, but the sentence was simple. These beings could not speak complex ideas, or they chose not to. Maybe they did not need to. Maybe when you were powerful enough to conquer worlds, you did not need fancy words. "I already told you," Patricia said. Her voice was still steady. She was amazed that she was not shaking. Inside, she was falling apart. Inside, she wanted to run or hide or scream. But outside, she stood straight and strong. "I will only talk to your leader. And I want your word that my students will not be hurt. You can take me. You can do whatever you want to me. But these children stay safe." The three aliens exchanged looks. It was hard to read their faces because their faces were not like human faces. But Patricia could see something moving in how they stood. Some kind of communication was happening between them. Maybe they were talking through the machines on their bodies. Maybe they could talk without speaking, like they were connected to each other somehow. Minutes passed. It felt like hours. Patricia's legs began to hurt from standing in one position. Her hands were still open and visible, and her arms were getting tired. But she did not lower them. She did not move. She kept her eyes on the aliens and waited. Finally, the three aliens moved. But not toward Patricia. They moved to the sides of the classroom doorway. They stood there like guards. They were making room for someone else to come through. Patricia heard footsteps in the hallway, but these footsteps were different. Heavier, slower, more deliberate. A fourth alien came through the doorway. This one was taller than the others. It had to duck to fit through the doorway. This one was different in other ways too. The armor on its body had marks on it, symbols that Patricia guessed meant rank or importance. The eyes on this alien were brighter, more alert. This was the leader. Patricia was certain of it. The leader alien moved into the classroom slowly. It looked at the three guards. It looked at Patricia. It looked at the children huddled in the corner. Then it looked back at Patricia. "I am Commander Vox of the Valorian Collective," the alien said. Its voice came through the machine, but the words were more complex than the guards' words. This alien could speak in full sentences. This alien was intelligent and dangerous in ways that the soldiers were not. "You are the dominant individual here. You are their leader. Explain to me why you resist. You have no weapons. You have no power. Resistance is illogical." Patricia took a breath. This was her chance. This was the moment that mattered. She kept her hands visible and open. She did not make any sudden movements. "My name is Patricia Moore," she said. I am a teacher. These children are my students. I am not their leader in the way you probably think. I do not command them like soldiers. I teach them. I care for them. And I will not let them be hurt. You will not let them? Vox's voice held something that sounded like amusement. You are one being. I am one being, but I can destroy you without effort. Your resistance means nothing. You are right, Patricia said. She nodded. She was being honest now, and the truth might matter. I cannot stop you. You can kill me right now. You can take my students. But if you do, you will lose something very important. You will lose a chance to understand something about humanity that your scans and your computers cannot tell you. Vox moved closer to Patricia. Its multiple eyes focused on her face. Patricia could feel the heat from its body. She could smell that burned metal smell again. But she did not move back. She held her ground. Explain, Vox said. Patricia turned to her students. Marcus, she called out. Come here for a moment. Do not be afraid. Come tell the commander about your science project. Marcus was 8 years old. He was shaking with fear. His eyes were red from crying. But he looked at Patricia, and something in her voice made him brave. He walked forward, step by step, until he was standing next to his teacher. The 3 guards tracked his movement with their weapons, but they did not fire. Go ahead, Patricia said gently. Tell him about the volcano. Marcus's voice was very small at first. I made a volcano model, he said, for my science project. It erupts with baking soda and vinegar. It is red like real lava. I worked on it for 2 weeks. As Marcus talked, Patricia watched Vox's reaction. The commander's multiple eyes stayed focused on the boy. Its body language shifted slightly. It was listening. It was understanding the words. But Patricia could not tell if it understood the meaning. When Marcus finished, Patricia called another student. Lisa, tell the commander about your drawing. Lisa came forward and talked about the pictures she had drawn of her grandmother. Tommy talked about the video games he liked to play. Maria talked about her dog and how much she loved it. One by one, Patricia had her students share pieces of themselves with the alien commander. As the children spoke, something was changing in the room. The fear was not gone, but it was becoming something else. The children were no longer just victims waiting to be taken. They were people. They were individuals with thoughts and feelings and dreams. They were humans, and they were showing that to the Valorian commander. Patricia watched Vox move from student to student. The commander's eyes grew brighter. Its body language became less aggressive. It was seeing something. It was understanding something. Whatever the Valorians had expected to find on Earth, this was not it. Your species values this. Vox asked. The alien was looking at Maria, who was telling a story about her dog running through a field. This sharing of individual thought? This expression of emotion about unimportant things? We do not think it is unimportant, Patricia said. When Maria talks about her dog, she is sharing something real about herself. She is showing us how she feels. In humanity, this is how we connect. This is how we understand each other. This is how we survive. Vox was silent for a long time. The commander's multiple eyes moved from student to student. The alien was processing information, but Patricia could not tell what kind of information or what the alien was thinking. Finally, Vox spoke. The Valorian Collective has conquered 43 worlds. We have assimilated 17 different species. They were all more technologically advanced than your species. They were all more physically powerful. But none of them have ever stood in front of us and demanded that we protect their young. None of them have ever shown us what you call emotion. Vox turned back to Patricia. You will come with me to my ship. You will explain these things to me. And your students will remain here, in this building, unharmed. This is my word as commander of the Valorian Collective. Patricia felt relief wash over her body. She had bought time. She did not know if it was enough, but it was something. The children were safe, at least for now. She looked back at them, and they looked at her. She nodded, trying to tell them with her eyes that everything would be okay. She turned to Vox. "Then we go now," she said, as Patricia walked toward the commander. She did not know if she would ever come back. She did not know if this plan would work. But she had seen something in that alien's reaction. She had seen surprise. She had seen curiosity. And maybe, just maybe, she had seen the beginning of understanding. If she could make that understanding grow, if she could make Vox see that humanity was worth something, then maybe she could save her students. Maybe she could save her entire world. The Valorian ship was nothing like Patricia had expected. She had thought it would be cold and dark and filled with weapons and machines that made no sense. But when Commander Vox led her inside, she found something different. The ship was organized and clean, but it was also empty in a way that made Patricia sad. There were no decorations. There were no pictures or art on the walls. There was no color except gray and black and the occasional red of warning lights. Vox led Patricia to a room that was clearly meant to be a command center. Screens covered 3 of the walls. Information displayed in languages Patricia did not understand. Other Valorians moved around the room, working on controls, reading information, directing other parts of the invasion. When Vox entered, all of them stopped what they were doing and looked at the commander. They saw Patricia, and their multiple eyes focused on her with curiosity and something that might have been hostility. Vox raised a limb, and the other Valorians went back to their work. "Wait here," the commander said to Patricia. "I must confer with my commanders about your proposal." Patricia sat in a chair that was too tall for her human body. Her feet did not quite touch the ground. She felt small and young, like a child sitting in an adult seat. Around her, the Valorians worked. They did not speak out loud. They might have been communicating through some kind of connection, or perhaps they simply worked in silence. Patricia could not tell. She watched the screens on the walls. Some of them showed Earth from space. She could see the planet where she had lived her whole life. She could see the continents and the oceans. She could see the cities where millions of humans lived their lives, going to work, raising families, going to school. None of those people knew that an alien ship was parked above them right now. None of them knew that their fate was being decided in this room. Patricia thought about her classroom. She thought about the children. Were they scared? Were they crying? Or had they started to feel safe again now that the aliens had left them alone? She hoped they had a guard in the room, someone from the school who was trying to protect them and keep them calm. Or maybe they were alone, waiting, praying that their teacher would come back. An hour passed. Then another. Patricia began to wonder if Vox would ever return. Maybe the commander was deciding that humans were not worth talking to. Maybe the conversation was over, and the assimilation would begin soon anyway. Patricia felt her hopes starting to fade. But then Vox came back through the door. "Your species is interesting," the commander said without greeting or introduction. "We have reviewed your broadcast signals, your music, your art, your films, your historical records of both warfare and cooperation. The Valorian Collective does not understand these things. We do not understand why you make beauty when you could be making weapons. We do not understand why you spend resources on music when you could use them for defense." Patricia sat up straight in her chair. This was her opportunity. This was why Vox had brought her here. "Because beauty and music and art are not waste," Patricia said. She was careful with her words. She was speaking to an alien being that saw the world through a lens of pure logic and efficiency. They are how we remember that life is worth living. They are how we express the things that are most important to us. When someone makes a song, they are sharing their heart with others. When someone creates art, they are showing people how they see the world. This seems inefficient, Vox said. It is, Patricia agreed. It is very inefficient. But that is not the point. The point is that it makes us human. A human without art and music and love would not really be human anymore. They would just be a machine shaped like a person. Vox moved to one of the screens on the wall. The commander touched something, and the screen changed. Now it showed music videos. Patricia recognized some of them. Songs that humans loved. Songs that had been played on radio stations all over the world. Songs that made people cry or dance or remember important moments in their lives. These sounds, Vox said. Why do they matter? Patricia stood up from her chair, even though it made her very small in the room full of tall aliens. Play the video, she said. The one with the woman singing about her child. The one that went viral last year. Vox did something, and a video appeared on the screen. It was a woman sitting alone in a room. She had written a song about her daughter who had died in an accident. The woman sang, and tears ran down her face. As she sang, images appeared on the screen. Pictures of the daughter when she was alive. Happy memories? The daughter playing, laughing, living. Patricia watched Vox's reaction. The commander did not move. The commander did not speak. The commander just watched and listened to a human woman sing about love and loss and how life could be taken away suddenly. When the video finished, there was silence in the command center. The other Valorians had stopped their work again. They were looking at Vox. They were waiting to see what the commander would do. She was sad, Vox said finally. She was expressing sadness through sound. Why would she do this? Because she needed other people to know how much she loved her daughter, Patricia said. Because when you share your pain with others, they can help carry that pain. Because that song will help other humans understand loss and love in a deeper way. Because she wanted her daughter to be remembered. Vox turned away from the screen and looked at Patricia. The Valorian collective does not remember individuals. We do not need to. The collective is all that matters. Individual losses are not important. Then your species is already dying, Patricia said. She did not mean to say it so bluntly, but the words came out before she could stop them. She was afraid she had made a mistake. She was afraid that Vox would be angry at her. But instead, the commander tilted its head slightly. A gesture that Patricia was beginning to understand meant curiosity. Explain, Vox demanded. If individuals do not matter, then nobody is trying to make anything better, Patricia said. Nobody is trying to create something beautiful or new. Nobody is fighting to save the people they love. Nobody is making art or music or telling stories. You have technology and weapons, but you have no reason to keep living. You have no purpose except to conquer. But to conquest without meaning is just emptiness. Vox was silent. The commander's multiple eyes grew dimmer, like it was thinking very hard. Patricia could feel the other Valorians watching her. She had just told an alien overlord that their entire civilization was wrong. She was probably about to be executed, but instead of attacking her, Vox stepped closer. The commander raised a limb, and Patricia saw the weapon on it. But instead of firing, Vox lowered the weapon and extended the limb toward Patricia in a gesture that was not threatening. You would trade your own life for your students, Vox said. It was not a question. Yes, Patricia said simply. You would stand against beings far more powerful than you, Vox continued. You would demand things from a force that could destroy your world. Yes, Patricia said again. And you would teach an alien being about love and art and individual worth. Even though you knew it might not make any difference, Vox said. Yes, Patricia said. Because they matter. My students matter. All humans matter. Even if I fail, even if I die trying, they still matter. That is what being human means. Vox lowered its limb. The commander walked to the window and looked out at Earth floating in the darkness of space. We have conquered this world without fighting because we are powerful and you are weak. But you have just conquered me with words and ideas. You have shown me something that the Valorian Collective has been missing for 10,000 years. You have shown me that weakness can be stronger than power, and that meaning is more valuable than conquest. Patricia felt her heart start to beat faster. She did not know yet if Vox would save her students or save the world, but she knew that something had changed. In this moment, with an alien looking out at Earth and thinking about love and loss and what it meant to be alive, something had definitely changed. Commander Vox turned away from the window and faced Patricia. The alien's multiple eyes were brighter now, and its body language had changed. It was no longer the posture of an invader. It was something different, something closer to respect. I have been the commander of the Valorian Collective for 700 of your Earth years, Vox said. In that time, I have conquered more worlds than you have numbers to count. I have expanded our territory from 3 star systems to 43. The Valorian Collective is powerful beyond measure. We are efficient. We are logical. We are everything that your species is not. Vox moved closer to Patricia. But as I have grown more powerful, something has changed in me. I have begun to feel something that my programming tells me is illogical. It is a sense of emptiness. It is a sense that all of our conquest and all of our power means nothing because we have no one to share it with. We have no one who understands us. We have no one who we care about beyond the collective. Patricia listened. She did not interrupt. She did not move. Today, I invaded your world, Vox continued. I came to your classroom to assimilate your children. I was going to process them and convert them into soldiers that would serve the Valorian Collective. But you stood in front of me and said no. You stood in front of my weapons and refused to give up. And in that moment, I felt something that I had not felt in 700 years. I felt doubt. I felt the possibility that I was wrong about everything. Vox raised one of its limbs and touched Patricia on the shoulder. The touch was gentle. You have shown me that humanity has something we will never have. You have shown me that your weakness is your strength, that your emotions are not a flaw, that your art and music and love are not waste. You have shown me that we have been wrong. Patricia felt tears starting to form in her eyes. She did not know if Vox could understand tears, but she did not hide them. What will you do? Patricia asked. I will stop the invasion, Vox said. All Valorian forces on this planet will stand down immediately. The assimilation process will be halted. Humanity will not be processed or absorbed into the collective. Your species will remain free. Patricia felt a wave of relief so strong that her legs almost gave out. And my students? Will they be safe? Your students will be more than safe, Vox said. They will be the reason that the Valorian Collective changes forever. I will bring you back to them, and you will teach them that this day was the day that humanity proved itself to be the greatest species in the galaxy. Not because of your weapons or your technology, but because of your heart. Vox moved to a communications device on the wall and placed a limb on it. The device made sounds and lights. Around the command center, the other Valorians watched in shock. This is Commander Vox, the alien said. I am issuing an immediate order. All invasion forces are to stand down. No assimilation will take place. Humanity is not to be processed. These are my direct orders, and they are not to be questioned. The Valorian Collective is no longer at war with Earth. We have come to understand that we have been wrong, and we are changing course. The other Valorians did not move. For a moment, no one responded. Then, slowly, one Valorian moved to a console and began to work. Then another. Then another. The invasion was being cancelled. The orders were being sent. The Valorian ships that were attacking Earth would receive the message and pull back. Vox turned back to Patricia. "Come, I will take you back to your classroom. Your students are waiting for you." The journey back to Earth was fast. Patricia sat in a small ship with Vox and 2 guards. She looked out the window and watched her planet grow larger as they came closer. She could see the school. She could see the city. She could see the place where she had been born and where she had lived her entire life. When the ship landed outside the school, Vox told the guards to wait. The commander walked Patricia to the classroom door. The hallways of the school were dark and empty. There were no sounds. It was like everyone had left. But when they reached the classroom, Patricia heard voices. She heard her students nod. She pushed open the door. Every face in the room turned to look at her. The children screamed with joy and ran toward her. She was pushed down by the weight of their bodies as they hugged her and cried and asked if she was okay. Over their heads, Patricia could see Vox standing in the doorway. "Ms. Moore," Marcus called out. "We were so scared. We thought you were not coming back." Patricia held all of them as tightly as she could. "I am here now," she said, "and I am never leaving you again." The children noticed Vox standing in the doorway. They froze. Fear started to return to their faces. But Patricia stood up and raised a hand. "This is Commander Vox," she said. "The commander is our friend now. The aliens are not here to hurt us. They are leaving Earth, and we are all going to be safe." Vox tilted its head in the way Patricia had come to recognize as curiosity. The commander was watching the children. The aliens' multiple eyes were bright and focused. Maria walked forward. She was the bravest of all the students. She walked right up to Vox and looked up at the alien's face. "Are you a friend?" she asked. "I believe I'm learning to be a friend," Vox said. The commander extended a limb toward Maria. "You are the one who spoke about the dog." Maria smiled and reached out. Her tiny human hand touched the alien's armor. "I have a dog named Buddy," she said. "He is the best dog in the world." For a moment, an alien commander and a human child connected. It was a moment so strange and so beautiful that Patricia knew she would never forget it as long as she lived. Vox stood back and looked at all the children. "Your teacher has changed the course of the Valorian collective," the commander said. "Because of her courage and her love for you, your entire species has been saved. We will leave now, but know this. We will remember humanity. We will remember that the smallest acts of kindness and courage can change the most powerful beings in the galaxy." The alien turned to Patricia. "Thank you," Vox said. "Thank you for showing me how to be more than just a weapon of conquest. Thank you for showing me what it means to care about individuals. You have given the Valorian collective a second chance to be something better." With that, Commander Vox left the classroom and returned to the ship. Patricia and her students watched from the windows as the massive alien vessel lifted off the ground. It climbed higher and higher into the sky until it was just a light among the stars. And then it was gone. Patricia looked at her students. She looked at their faces, covered in tears and dirt and fear, but also filled with hope. She walked to the whiteboard at the front of the classroom and picked up a marker. With shaking hands, she wrote a single sentence that would change how humanity saw itself forever. "We are stronger than we know." The children read the words. They understood. And as they stood there together, a teacher and her students who had just changed the course of history, they began to believe that it was true. 3 weeks had passed since the Valorian ships left Earth. The world was still trying to understand what had happened. News channels across the globe showed the same images over and over. The invasion lasted only 45 minutes. Not a single shot was fired by human weapons. Not a single human life was lost to enemy action. The aliens had simply left, and no one could explain why Patricia Moore sat in her classroom at Lincoln Elementary. The school had reopened after the government had checked everything for danger and declared it safe. The children had been back for 2 weeks. Some of them still had nightmares about the invasion. Some of them had trouble sleeping, but they were healing. Children are strong in ways that adults often forget. Patricia looked at her students as they worked on their math assignment. Marcus was getting the answers right as usual. Lisa was drawing in her notebook again. Pictures of aliens this time, but not scary ones. Tommy was trying to make the other kids laugh, and Maria was helping the quieter kids understand the lesson. They were normal 4th graders doing normal 4th grade things. But Patricia knew that none of them would ever be the same. After the last bell rang and the children had been picked up by their parents, Patricia stayed in the classroom alone. She sat at her desk and wrote in her journal about the day. She wrote about every child's reaction to returning to school. She wrote about the things they had said, the questions they had asked. She wanted to remember everything exactly as it happened. She wanted to make sure that no detail was lost. There was a knock on the classroom door. Patricia looked up. A man in a dark suit was standing in the doorway. He had a serious face and eyes that looked like they had seen a lot of difficult things. Patricia recognized him immediately. She had seen him on the news. He was the Director of National Security. "Ms. Moore," the man said, "I am Director Robert Hayes. I would like to talk to you about what happened during the invasion." Patricia invited him in, and Director Hayes sat down in one of the small student chairs. He looked uncomfortable in the tiny seat, but he did not complain. He took out a notebook and a pen. "I have read the official reports," Director Hayes said. "I have talked to the other teachers in this school. I have talked to the students. Everyone tells me the same story. You stood in front of an alien invasion force and refused to give up your students. You negotiated with the commander. And somehow, you convinced an entire alien armada to leave Earth. I need to understand how you did it." Patricia did not know how to explain what had happened. She could describe the events, but the real reason was more complicated than words could express. "I did not do anything special," Patricia said. "I just loved my students. And I made the aliens understand that humans are worth something, that we have value that cannot be measured by weapons or technology." Director Hayes wrote something in his notebook. "The world has changed because of what you did," he said. "The United Nations has received a formal message from the Valorian Collective. They have declared peace with Earth. They want to establish trade and cultural exchange. For the first time in human history, we are going to have contact with an alien civilization. And it is peaceful, because you convinced them that we are worth saving." Patricia felt the weight of what he was saying. She had not thought about it in those terms. She had just been trying to save her students. She had not been trying to change the world. But that was what had happened anyway. Over the next few weeks, Patricia gave many interviews to reporters and government officials. She told them about standing in front of the aliens. She told them about the fear she felt. She told them about how she had just tried to help her students see that they were special. And as she told the story over and over, she began to understand the real message that had come through. Humanity was special. Not because humans were stronger or smarter or had better technology. Humanity was special because humans could love. Because humans could create art and music. Because humans could look at something different and dangerous and still reach out with an open hand instead of a weapon. The school year continued. Patricia taught her class. She was still just a 4th grade teacher in a small town. But now the world knew her name. Now people recognized her on the street. Now children from other schools wanted to come and visit her classroom and learn from her. She did not like the attention. She was a private person who loved her job and loved her students. She did not need fame. But she knew that the attention meant something. It meant that people were thinking about what she had said. It meant that humanity was taking the lesson to heart. One day, nearly a month after the invasion, Patricia received a package in the mail. It had no return address. Inside was a data device and a note. The note was in English, and the handwriting was made by some kind of machine. But the words were clear. The note said, "Miss Patricia Moore, this is Commander Vox. I have been thinking about our conversation. I have been showing the children's words to the Valorian High Council. I have been playing the music and showing the art that you taught me about. The Valorian Collective is changing because of what you taught me. We are learning to value individuals. We are learning to create beauty instead of just conquering worlds. I have attached a video that I wanted you to see. It is me learning to paint. It is not very good, but I am trying. Thank you for saving my species from becoming nothing but machines, Vox." Patricia played the video. It showed Commander Vox in what looked like an art studio. The alien was holding a brush in one of its limbs and was trying to paint on a canvas. The painting was very bad. The colors did not match. The shapes made no sense. But it was beautiful because Vox was trying. The alien was learning to create instead of destroy. That was what mattered. Patricia showed the video to her class. She watched their faces as they saw the alien trying to learn to paint. The children understood immediately what it meant. They understood that the Valorian Collective was changing. They understood that their teacher had done something that had changed not just Earth, but an entire alien civilization. "Ms. Moore," Maria asked, "will Commander Vox come back to visit?" "Maybe," Patricia said. "Maybe one day, aliens and humans will be friends, not just because we have to be, but because we want to be. And when that happens, Commander Vox might visit our classroom and show us what they have learned to create." The children cheered at that idea. They imagined alien artists and alien musicians and aliens who created beauty instead of conquest. They imagined a galaxy where different species worked together and learned from each other. Patricia walked to the window and looked out at the sky. Somewhere up there, beyond the clouds and the stars, Commander Vox was learning to paint. Somewhere up there, the Valorian Collective was deciding to become something better. And it had all started because a teacher and her students had shown an alien invader what it meant to be human. That night, Patricia sat at her desk and updated her journal. She wrote about the video from Vox. She wrote about the message. She wrote about how she believed that humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to change others through love and kindness and the sharing of what makes life worth living. She thought about all the things in the world that were hard and unfair and difficult. She thought about all the problems that seemed impossible to solve. But she also thought about what she had learned from standing in front of an alien invasion. She had learned that one person, standing strong and refusing to give up, could change everything. She had learned that love was stronger than weapons. She had learned that the smallest human act of kindness could change the most powerful being in the galaxy. Patricia closed her journal and turned off the light. Tomorrow, she would go back to her classroom and teach fourth grade math and science and history. She would help her students learn to read and write and think. She would love them and care for them and help them understand that they were special. And somewhere in the galaxy, an alien commander would continue to paint, learning what it meant to create instead of destroy. And somewhere in the future, when the stars were ready, humans and Valorians would meet again, and they would be friends. And it would all have started in a small classroom on Earth, with a teacher who refused to give up and students who had the courage to be themselves. The world had changed forever. And it had all happened because one person loved fiercely and refused to believe that anything was impossible.